Have you ever felt like the world was silently working against you, draining your energy and distracting your focus? What if I told you that the key to reclaiming your power is brutally simple, but rarely acted upon? And what happens when you finally decide to stop chasing approval and start investing in yourself? Let me share something blunt, something most people are too afraid to admit. The world doesn't care whether you thrive or fail. Society isn't built to lift you up. It's designed to pull you in 1,000 directions, to keep you exhausted, distracted, and constantly chasing things that don't truly matter. Your energy? People crave it. Your time? They'll waste it without a second thought. Your attention? They'll hijack it to serve their own agendas. But here's the unfiltered truth. The more you pour your energy into pleasing others, the more powerless you become. Every time you say yes to what doesn't serve you, you're saying no to your own growth. The game changes the moment you make a conscious decision to redirect that energy inward. When you choose to focus fully on yourself, your growth, your values, your direction, that's the moment you become untouchable. Stoicism begins with one powerful principle. Face reality. Don't run from it. And if you're ready to reclaim your life, start by declaring this to yourself. My mind is my fortress. Now, let's dig into the foundation of why this mindset shift matters so much. Starting with the first and most important step. Prioritizing yourself. One of the greatest Stoic philosophers, Marcus Aurelius, once wrote, "A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions." Let that sink in. If your ambitions are shaped not by your own vision, but by the expectations of your parents, your friends, or the society around you, what does that really say about your self-worth? Most people are stuck in a mental prison and don't even realize it. They spend their entire lives seeking approval, chasing external validation like a dog chasing its tail. They twist themselves into shapes that fit a world that couldn't care less about who they really are. They work jobs they despise to impress people they don't respect. They buy things they don't need to maintain an image that doesn't serve them. They surrender their freedom for the illusion of being accepted. But here's the bitter pill. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you the life you want. If you don't prioritize yourself, someone else will do it for you, and it won't be in your favor. And the worst part, the more you give, the less they'll appreciate it. When you constantly sacrifice for others without setting boundaries, they begin to expect it. They take your energy for granted. The world doesn't reward people who are endlessly selfless. It respects those who respect themselves first. Now, does this mean you should become cold, selfish, or stop helping others altogether? Absolutely not. But there's a critical difference between helping from a place of strength and allowing yourself to be drained until there's nothing left. A Stoic understands this balance. You can't pour from an empty cup. You must master your inner world first. Only then can you bring true value to others. When you decide to make yourself the top priority, everything begins to shift. Your mindset strengthens. You stop chasing validation. You no longer beg for love, attention, or approval. You stop being a prisoner of guilt, fear, or obligation. Instead, you become something more. And this transformation, it doesn't happen overnight, but it begins the moment you choose to put yourself first. Let's take a closer look in the next part. When you shift your focus inward, choosing to prioritize your growth over the noise of the world, something remarkable happens. You begin to stand taller, speak less, and command more. The moment you stop seeking validation is the very moment people start to respect you. It's a paradox that catches many off guard. The more independent you become, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually, the more others start to recognize your worth. Why? Because you're no longer broadcasting a need to be liked. You're no longer begging for acceptance. You radiate value simply by owning who you are. So ask yourself, who are you really living for? Are you designing a life that reflects your vision, your goals, your truth? Or are you just another character playing a role in someone else's script? This question cuts deep for a reason. Because if you don't choose yourself, no one else will. Take a moment, say it to yourself, or better yet, out loud. I choose myself. Let's move into the next core idea, the illusion of control, and how it fuels the trap of external validation. Most people are unknowingly caught in a dangerous game. They believe they can control how others perceive them, how people think about them, talk about them, or feel about them. They adjust, they filter, they perform, all in the hopes of fitting in, of being liked, of feeling enough. But here's the harsh truth. You could do everything right and still get judged. If you act too perfect, some will call you fake. If you fail, they'll mock you. If you succeed, they'll say it's luck. And if you focus solely on your own goals, they'll label you selfish. So, let me ask again, why do you care? The Stoic philosopher Epictetus gave us a timeless reminder. You only control your thoughts, your actions, and your reactions. Everything else is beyond your power, and yet so many people surrender their peace in exchange for approval. They live in fear of opinions. They bend themselves to please others. But at what cost? Let's go even deeper. Why are people so desperate for validation in the first place? Because deep down, many don't trust themselves. They doubt their own judgment. They don't feel worthy unless someone else confirms it for them. So they chase approval, like an addict. Chases a high, never realizing it only makes them weaker. According to dark psychology, the moment you stop seeking validation, you instantly rise above 99% of people. Why? Because you become free. Free from guilt, free from pressure, free from the invisible chains of conformity. And here's the twist. When you no longer crave approval, people actually start to respect you more. When you walk with quiet confidence, when you stop reacting to every opinion or insult, when you simply live aligned with your values, you become someone they can't shake. They feel your presence. They sense your power. You're no longer easy to control. So the next time your mind whispers, "What will they think?" Stop. Remind yourself it doesn't matter. Their opinions don't shape your reality. Their approval won't build your future. Because in the next part, we'll explore how to protect that inner power and how mastering your focus is the key to becoming unshakable in a world full of noise. We ended the last part with a powerful reminder. Other people's opinions won't build your life. Their approval doesn't pay your bills, and it certainly won't bring you lasting fulfillment. So, what does matter? How you see yourself. That's the only perspective that truly counts. When you finally let go of the need for external validation, when you take full ownership of your thoughts, your choices, your direction, you become truly unstoppable. Say it to yourself, "My mind belongs to me." Because once you believe that deep in your core, no one can take your power away. Now let's uncover a hidden layer of control, something most people never see until it's too late. It's called dark psychology. And it's how the world silently manipulates your focus. Here's a hard truth. Most people believe they're making independent decisions. They believe their opinions, emotions, and desires are their own. But in reality, they're being influenced, shaped by the people and systems around them. Their minds are quietly being pulled in directions they never chose. This is where dark psychology thrives. It's subtle, it's sneaky, and it's everywhere. There are people who benefit from keeping you distracted, emotionally reactive, and easy to influence. Think about it. Friends who guilt-trip you into doing what they want. Bosses who squeeze every ounce of energy from you. Social media algorithms that feed you dopamine hits to keep you scrolling endlessly. They don't want you focused on yourself. They want you hooked, scattered, exhausted. Let's break this manipulation down into 3 common psychological tactics used to hijack your energy and keep you stuck. The guilt trap. Ever notice how some people suddenly act offended or disappointed the moment you set boundaries? It's not a coincidence. It's strategy. They want to make you feel guilty for focusing on yourself, because when you prioritize your own needs, you're no longer serving theirs. But here's what a Stoic knows. Guilty is only a weapon if you allow it to be. The moment you stop reacting to these emotional landmines, their grip on you dissolves. The scarcity illusion. Toxic people love to make you believe that you'll be lost without them. If you leave, you'll regret it. If you stop chasing them, you'll miss out. But this is pure manipulation. They need you more than you need them. They create the illusion that they're irreplaceable, when in fact they are entirely expendable. And the moment you realize your own value, the moment you stop buying into this false sense of scarcity, you become dangerous. You become unshakable, untouchable. The attention hijack. Ask yourself, how much of your time is lost to meaningless distractions, gossip, petty arguments, pointless drama? Every time you engage in these things, you're playing someone else's game. You're giving away your most valuable currency, your focus. And once your focus is gone, so is your direction. So how do you reclaim that focus? How? Do you protect your energy in a world constantly trying to drain it? That's exactly what we'll uncover next. We ended the last section with a hard truth. Every time you give your attention to pointless drama or manipulative games, you're handing over your most powerful resource, your focus. And that's exactly what they want, because the more distracted you are, the less time you have to build yourself, to grow, to create a life of purpose. They don't want you sharp. They want you scattered. They don't want you focused. They want you reactive. That's why the greatest Stoic minds, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus, all emphasize the power of solitude. Because when you're alone with your thoughts, without the noise, you begin to reclaim your power. A focused mind is an unbreakable mind. So if you've ever felt like you're being pulled in 1,000 directions, if you're constantly reacting, explaining, or justifying yourself to people who never truly had your best interests at heart, this is your moment to stop, to take back your time, to protect your energy like your life depends on it, because it does from this moment on. Choose you. Say it boldly. I refuse to be controlled, because once you break free from these manipulation traps, what you gain is more than just peace. It's absolute freedom. And this leads us straight to the next core idea: the power of emotional detachment, and why indifference is your greatest strength. The moment you become emotionally detached, you unlock something incredible. You become unstoppable. Why? Because when people can no longer manipulate your emotions, they lose control over you. Their words, their opinions, their actions, they all lose their grip. Stoicism teaches us that true power doesn't come from controlling others. It comes from mastering ourselves, especially in the face of chaos. Marcus Aurelius said it best: you have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Let that sink in. How many times have you let someone's careless comment ruin your day? How often have you wasted hours, even days, worrying about things you couldn't change? The world is designed to provoke you, to trigger your emotions, to keep you reactive and weak. But there's a secret weapon you can use, and that weapon is indifference. Indifference doesn't mean you don't care about life. It means you choose not to be ruled by things that don't serve your growth. It means you are no longer available for negativity, gossip, insults, or chaos. When you master this art, you become unshakable. People don't know what to do with someone who doesn't flinch. They try harder to provoke you. They throw louder insults, craftier guilt, or emotional traps. And every time you remain calm, you gain more power. Here's the paradox: the less you react, the more powerful you appear. Because real control doesn't come from dominating others, it comes from mastering yourself. So how do you build that emotional armor? How do you develop emotional detachment in the Stoic way? It begins with 3 core practices. Detach from approval. Stop caring about what others think. Their opinions don't change your truth. Detach from outcomes. Focus on your actions, not the results. You control your effort, not what comes of it. Detach from, and that's exactly where we're headed next. Let's dive deeper into these principles and learn how to apply them powerfully in everyday life. Previously, we uncovered a powerful truth. Indifference isn't weakness, it's strength. It's not about ignoring life, but about guarding your energy and focusing only on what truly matters. So, what does that look like in real life? It means learning to stay grounded, even when chaos knocks on your door. When people try to provoke, you don't take the bait. Remain still. Stay calm. Why? Because a reaction is exactly what they want, and the moment you give it, you hand over your power. Detach from drama. Don't waste your energy on gossip, petty arguments, or emotional distractions that pull you off course. Your mind is a fortress. Protect it. Choose carefully what you let in and what you allow to shape your thoughts. Indifference doesn't mean you've stopped caring about life. It means you've chosen to care only about what matters most. So next time someone tries to rattle your peace, picture this. A stoic mind is like a mountain, unmoved by the wind, indifferent to the storm. Stay calm, stay composed, stay in control. If you're ready to master emotional detachment, say it to yourself or write it down. I control my mind. Because once you do, no one, not critics, not manipulators, not chaos, will ever be able to break you again. Now let's explore the next layer of inner mastery, the Stoic art of self-mastery. choosing discipline over distraction. Here's the hard truth most people ignore. The average person isn't a slave to another person. They're a slave to their own impulses. They wake up and reach for their phones. They scroll endlessly. They chase quick pleasure and avoid anything that feels uncomfortable. And then they wonder why they feel lost, powerless, disconnected. But a Stoic? A Stoic understands that discipline isn't a burden. It's the foundation of all greatness. Seneca once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Let that resonate for a moment. If you don't control your thoughts, your actions, your desires, then you're not free. You're simply reacting. And worse, you're being controlled by the very world you think you're living in freely. In today's world, distraction is the ultimate enemy. Social media, endless entertainment, fast dopamine hits. Everything around you is designed to keep you numb and weak, because a distracted mind is an obedient mind. And the system? It doesn't want you thinking for yourself. It wants you consuming. But when you begin to master yourself, when you learn to take control, your power becomes untouchable. Real power comes from within. It's not about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself, your emotions, your reactions, your impulses. When you've mastered those things, you don't need anything from the world. You operate from strength, not scarcity. Think of the greatest Stoic minds in history: Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca. These men didn't waste their lives chasing distractions. They focused, they trained, they built inner fortresses that no external force could shake. So, how do you do the same? How do you build that same level of unbreakable discipline? The Stoic method begins with 3 words: resist, embrace, limit. Resist comfort. The more you chase ease, the weaker you become. Instead, train your mind to withstand discomfort. Seek, challenge, welcome adversity, grow stronger through it, embrace discipline. Don't wait for motivation. Build systems, create structure, develop grit. Limit your inputs, because the more random information you consume, the less control you have over your thoughts. And in the next section, we'll uncover exactly how to sharpen your mind by limiting distractions, and how to create habits that make discipline your second nature. We ended the last section with a challenge: resist comfort, limit distractions, build discipline. Now let's take that principle even further into how you structure your time, your focus, and your inner stillness. Because every time you give in to negativity or lose yourself in mindless scrolling, you're not just wasting time, you're trading it for mediocrity. Your time is sacred. Guard it ruthlessly. Don't let anyone or anything waste it. Act, don't overthink. Most people hesitate endlessly. They make plans, dream big, and then do nothing. But a Stoic moves with quiet purpose. No grand announcement, no need for applause. Just deliberate, focused action. Detach from the outcome. True discipline is found in the process, not the results. Do the work. Stay consistent. Let the rest unfold naturally. Because here's the truth: a man who controls himself controls his destiny. But a man who lacks self-control, he becomes a puppet, reacting to the world instead of shaping it. So ask yourself honestly, who do you want to be? If you're ready to rise above the noise, break free from distractions, and master your own path, then claim it. I choose discipline over comfort. Because once you make that decision, truly make it, everything changes. And now we move into one of the most misunderstood, yet most powerful forces in the Stoic toolkit: silence and solitude, and how they make you unstoppable. Most people are terrified of silence. They fear being left alone with their thoughts, so they bury themselves in constant noise, notifications, gossip, endless entertainment. Why? Because deep down, they're afraid of facing themselves. But a Stoic sees silence differently. Solitude isn't loneliness, it's power. When you remove the noise, when you turn inward, when you finally sit with your thoughts instead of running from them, you begin to hear something rare: clarity. Marcus Aurelius ruled one of the most powerful empires in history, yet he made time for solitude. He retreated into his own mind, journaling his deepest reflections, sharpening his thoughts, and grounding his principles. Seneca encouraged time alone, not as isolation, but as a chance to refine your thinking, to reconnect with your essence, to master your inner world. Because in solitude you finally meet yourself, and that's where strength begins. Why does solitude make you stronger? You gain clarity. With no external noise, your thinking sharpens. You start seeing what truly matters. You become self-reliant, no longer depending on others for entertainment, approval, or identity. You gain emotional control. There's no one to provoke or distract you. You learn to regulate your emotions from within, and perhaps most powerfully, you become more intimidating. The one who listens more and speaks less. The one who walks calmly without needing to explain himself. That person holds real power. Society may try to convince you that constant socialization is natural, that being alone is a sign of weakness. But ask yourself, why do they say that? Maybe it's because a man who enjoys his own company is a man who can't be controlled. And in the next part, we'll explore exactly how that silent strength becomes your greatest advantage. In the last part, we uncovered a truth few are willing to face: the man who finds strength in solitude, who no longer needs external validation, becomes truly unshakable, because when you no longer need applause, permission, or approval, you become immune to manipulation. The most powerful individuals in history knew this secret. They disappeared into silence, not to retreat from the outer world, but to rebuild themselves. They returned not weaker but stronger, not louder but sharper, untouchable. Weak minds crave noise. Strong minds, they thrive in silence. So if that resonates with you, if you're someone who is ready to rise by turning inward, say it with conviction: I thrive in silence. Because the moment you embrace solitude, you unlock a level of personal power the world cannot touch. Now, let's turn to a truth that's just as important, but far more difficult for most people to accept. Sometimes cutting people off is necessary. Not everyone who enters your life is meant to stay. Some people are anchors, dragging you down, keeping you trapped in the same old patterns. Others are distractions, constantly feeding your mind with doubt, negativity, and drama. And some are parasites, feeding off your energy, offering nothing in return but chaos. The biggest mistake you can make? Holding on to people who no longer align with your growth. But why do so many stay? Because cutting people off isn't easy. It takes courage to walk away. People fear loneliness, confrontation, or guilt, so they stay. They stay trapped, drained, unfulfilled. A Stoic sees it differently. A Stoic understands that detachment is essential for evolution. Seneca once said, "Associate with those who will make a better man of you." And the unspoken truth, that also means walking away from those who won't. So how do you know when it's time to cut someone off? Here are the signs. They drain your energy. Every conversation feels like a weight. Their presence adds stress, not peace. They don't respect your growth. They mock your ambitions, belittle your goals, and try to keep you small. They use guilt to control you, making you feel bad for setting boundaries, for putting yourself first, for saying no. They bring nothing but negativity, constantly complaining, gossiping, blaming others. And worst of all, they don't celebrate your success. A real friend claps when you win. A fake one resents your progress. But here's the beauty in walking away. When you cut someone off, you send a powerful message. I choose myself. And that level of self-respect, most people never reach it, because the weak cling to toxic relationships out of fear. But the strong? They walk away, calmly, clearly, without hesitation. Cutting someone off doesn't mean you hate them. It means you love yourself enough to protect your peace. It means you value your time, your energy, your mental clarity. And once you do this, once you make that hard choice, something powerful happens. You start attracting better people, people who are aligned with your path, people who are whole, strong, and growing just like you. And in the next part, we'll talk about the final layer of this transformation, how mastering your environment shapes your mindset and determines the quality of your life. Previously, we uncovered the strength it takes to walk away from people who no longer serve your growth. And here's what happens when you do. Your standards rise, your energy is preserved, and your presence sharpens, because when you're no longer wasting time on the wrong people, the right ones begin to notice. You stop chasing and start attracting. But that only happens after you've cleared the dead weight. So take a moment and ask yourself, who in your life no longer contributes to your evolution? Who drains your spirit? Who have you outgrown? And more importantly, do you have the strength to let them go without looking back? If you do, claim it boldly. I release what no longer serves me. Because once you make that choice, you unlock a new level of power, a level where you no longer owe anyone anything except yourself. Now let's move into one of the deepest foundations of Stoic philosophy, the unshakable mindset and the truth about where real confidence comes from. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's not in your DNA, your bank account, or your physical appearance. It's something you build, brick by brick, from the inside out. The biggest mistake people make is believing that confidence is a side effect of external success. Money, status, approval, image. But a Stoic knows better. True confidence comes from within. Most people are emotionally fragile. Criticism shakes them. Failure crushes them. Rejection sends them spiraling. Why? Because their confidence is conditional, rooted in things they don't control. And anything built on the external will eventually collapse. But the unshakable mind? That's forged in challenge, reinforced by discipline, and immune to the noise of the world. When you've built confidence the Stoic way, no insult, no failure, no opinion can break you. So, how do you build unshakable confidence? Detach from validation. Stop chasing approval, likes, or compliments. To feel good about yourself, a Stoic validates himself from within. Embrace hardship. The more adversity you face, the stronger you become. Every challenge is an opportunity to grow, so stop avoiding difficulty and start seeking it. Control your reactions. Confident people don't overreact. They stay composed under pressure. They think clearly, respond calmly, and that's what makes them powerful. Own your presence. Speak less. Observe more. Let your energy do the talking, because as the old saying goes, the loudest person in the room is usually the weakest. Master your mindset. Confidence at its core is just one belief. I can handle whatever comes my way. And that belief? It's not built from comfort. It's built through consistent action. Just look around. Most people are desperate to be liked, to be seen, to be accepted. But the moment you stop needing external validation, you become magnetic. People respect those who respect themselves. First, and here's the paradox, the less you seek approval, the more you naturally receive it. In the next part, we'll explore how this inner strength leads to outer impact, and why true leaders move differently from the crowd. Previously, we explored what it means to build unshakable confidence from within, not from the applause of the world. And when you reach that level of self-trust, something remarkable happens. You no longer compare. Confidence isn't about being better than anyone else. It's about being so focused on your own path that competition becomes irrelevant. You don't need to prove yourself. You don't need to chase attention. You just exist in your truth, in your strength, in your power. And that is what makes you truly untouchable. So if you're ready to fully embrace that inner strength, say it with conviction. I am enough as I am. Because once you truly realize that, no one can ever make you feel small again. Now, let's bring everything full circle into the final Stoic truth. The path to ultimate freedom. When all is said and done, it all comes down to one thing. Freedom, the freedom to think clearly, to move through life without fear, to be in control, not just of your external reality, but of your mind, your emotions, and your destiny. Most people will never taste that kind of freedom. They'll spend their lives trapped in toxic relationships, trapped in cycles of self-doubt, trapped in the endless need for approval. They'll chase distractions. They'll chase meaningless goals. They'll chase people who don't value them. And by the time they realize they were running in circles, it'll be too late. But you still have a choice. You can follow the crowd, weak, reactive, and dependent. Or you can break free, you can stop chasing, you can shift your energy inward. You can master your mind and build the life you were meant to live. Because here's the final and most powerful lesson of Stoicism. True freedom isn't about wealth, status, or power. It's about self-mastery. It's about realizing that you are in control of your own reality. It's about walking through life with a mind that cannot be shaken, indifferent to negativity, immune to manipulation, unstoppable in purpose. And here's the real turning point. The moment you stop caring about what doesn't serve you, is the moment you become truly free. So now, it's time to take action. If you've made it this far, it means you're not like most people. You're ready to level up. You're ready to reclaim what's yours. So let this be your declaration. I am the master of my fate. Say it, write it, live it, because this is just the beginning. This is the moment you reclaim your focus, your strength, your life. Stay sharp, stay disciplined, and remember, The only path to true success and lasting inner peace is to focus relentlessly on mastering yourself.